Thinking of moving to Northern Cyprus permanently? Well, whether you're here for the sea, the sunshine, or the slow pace of life, residency is your first key step. In this video, I'm going to walk you through the exact steps that you would need to take in order to obtain your residency in Turkish Republic of Northern Cyprus in 2025, including the documents, the fees, and a few surprising twists that no one tells you about. Stay with me until the end, my friends, because I've got a few tips that would save you weeks of stress and hundreds of dollars. Well, first of all, you need to know that Northern Cyprus is not part of the European Union. As you enter the country, at the entry, you will be granted a visa anywhere from 30 to 90 days. If you had your visa being granted for 30 days, you can easily get it renewed up to 90 days stay here in Northern Cyprus by going to the immigration office. In case you came here to stay permanently straight away, then you would need to start your application process for obtaining the residency within those granted days upon your entry to the country. We have 6 different ways of obtaining residency here in Northern Cyprus. The first one, of course, is the property ownership, and it doesn't matter what the price for the property was. Second one is based on the fact that you have a rental agreement long-term up to a year registered with the tax office. There is also a family residency, which is designed for dependents and spouses of the main applicant. There is a student permit based on the enrollment to university, of course. There is work permit that grants you residency with the sponsorship of your employer. And we have a retiree theme for people 60 plus with their own property here in Northern Cyprus that get an exemption for 5 years straight. Let me start with the property ownership-based type of residency. So aside of the property that you bought, and it doesn't matter what the price for the property was, you need to have it registered with the tax office, taxes paid, and application for title deed transfer to your name being submitted, where you will get a QR code or another document called dossier that would be a part of your application process once you're applying for the residency. Over the last years, aside of the property ownership documents, you had to present your bank statements with a minimum amount of money of 12 minimum wages, and that is 12,000 euros. For a family or for a single applicant, it doesn't really matter if you apply for only 1 year residency permit. If you apply for 2 years residency permit, then in that case, you will need to have double that amount. But recently we had a new pathway being announced. A new pathway grants you a residency for 5 years straight away based on the fact that you have the title deed or kochan being transferred into your name already. Within that theme, you do not need to prove any financial accounts or financial standing here in Northern Cyprus. But as of now, that pathway has not been activated just yet because the government is trying to implement something within an online system to make it possible. As soon as the pathway becomes active, I will definitely let all of you know. And currently, we still apply based on the old rules, which is a property ownership plus 12,000 euros on your bank account if it's 1 year residency and 24,000 euros if it's 2 year residency. In case you don't own property here in Northern Cyprus, but you would still like to obtain a residency, you would need to present a long-term rental agreement with a minimum term of 1 year, okay? And that agreement has to be registered with the tax office. You would also need to present your bank statements with the proof that you have money equivalent to 3 minimum wages per month, which are in turns equal to 36,000 euros for a year. Retiree theme is the easiest pathway. So if you are 60 plus, if you own a property here in Northern Cyprus, you don't even need to submit any applications online. You simply go to the immigration office, you present the ownership papers for your property, you prove the fact that you do receive a pension on your bank account, and you have a 5-year exemption. What do I mean by family residency? Well, it's designed for the dependents. Let's say the main applicant owns the property, right, and applies for the residency in here. You go as a dependent, whether you're a wife or a husband, you just need to present a marriage certificate in order to obtain residency with the same type of terms. Same applies to children, and birth certificates needs to be presented as well. Student residency is one of the easiest paths as well. All you need to present is the enrollment papers to any local university, right? You don't need any financial proofs, any bank statements. You don't need to present any long-term lease or property ownership. None of that. Only the enrollment papers. So let's conclude, my dear friends. If it's a property-based ownership type of residency, you need the contract, having registered it with the tax office, taxes paid. You need the QR code, or you need the title deed being transferred into your name. Basically, any documents that prove the fact that you are the owner of the property here in Northern Cyprus. And you need to present your bank statements with minimum of 12,000 euros per year. If it's a residency based on long-term rental of a property, in that case, you would need to present a rental agreement, again registered with the tax office, taxes paid, and you would need to have triple the amount, which is equivalent to 36,000 euros per year term. If it's a retiree theme for 60 plus, then you would need to prove the fact that you own a property here in Northern Cyprus and that you receive your pension directly to the local bank accounts and you have a 5-year exemption. So what are the other documents that you would need to present along with your application when you're applying? The other document that you would need to present while applying for a residency is a muhtar letter or muhtar certificate. Muhtar is a local head of any particular region, whether it's Lapta, Alsancak, all the regions, they have their own muhtars. You go to that person, you present your ownership papers for a property or a rental agreement, and they issue you a certificate proving the fact that you live at that particular address. And of course, you would need to present any marriage or birth certificates of the dependents of the main applicants, translated and notarized either into Turkish or English language. Now, let's go through step-by-step guide how to obtain a residency in 2025. So, upon your entry, you will get a visa issued anywhere from 30 to 90 days. Within that period, you need to have your accommodation secured, whether it's a property ownership or whether it's a lease long-term agreement. Further step would include you opening a bank account where you can store your funds in and get the statements from. And that's where the trick is, because Turkish banks, let's say, that are here in Northern Cyprus, they would only open an account for you if you have the residency, but you don't have it just yet. So you would need to go to any of the local banks, including, let's say, Credit West Bank or Vakiflar Bank. They open accounts for you based on your passport and the proof of your address. If you already managed to obtain one in here in Northern Cyprus, great. They would open a bank account for you easily. In case you have not obtained a local address just yet, you can use your home address back in your home country, but you would need to present some sort of proof stating that you live in that address, including maybe bills with your name and address on it. As well as that, you will need to get your marriage or birth certificates translated and notarized, get biometric photos, and obtain a letter from muhtar stating that you live in that particular address within Northern Cyprus. So once you obtain all of those documents, you can start your application online using this link showing on the screen right now. The application process is very easy and straightforward. You would need to answer the questions, you would need to upload the documents that you've obtained, and you would need to submit the application and then further wait for the police department to set up a date for an appointment for you, which we call rendezvous. After that, you just attend an appointment at the set date at the immigration office. You present all the original copies of the documents that you've submitted. After police checks your documents, they send you back home, and within a few hours, within the system of your application, you will have a window that will pop up asking you to go to a particular hospital for a medical check. Of course, there would be a link for a payment that you would need to submit, and the amount would range anywhere from 5,000 to 10,000 Turkish lira, based on the length of the stay that you're applying for. You would need to undergo that medical check within at least a week, and after that, your results would be automatically sent to the police department to further process your application. No further steps after medical check need to be taken, my dear friends. Basically, you just wait for the digital card for your residency to be issued within a system where you have applied under your account name. That digital residency card will have your name, your passport details, and of course the date it has been issued and when it is valid till, right? And before it expires, within 21 days, you will have a new window under the same website, the same account popping up, asking you to renew that residency. And then you follow the steps. Basically, you either renew it with the same kind of terms, which is, let's say, a lease agreement, but in case you've acquired property ownership, then you will need to change the theme under which you apply. And that goes indefinitely. Basically, every single time, 21 days before your current permit expires, you will have a new window popping up asking you to renew your residency and choose the theme or conditions you want to apply under. So what are the common pitfalls and mistakes that people are making when applying for the residency? Well, my dear friends, the first and most important one, do not ever try to use unregistered contracts, or let's say contracts being issued under one property for different people. It is not going to work. The system can see it. And the less damaging scenario is you would be denied your residency permit. The worst scenario would be a fine being imposed. Another common mistake people are making is missing the visa application deadlines or overstays. My dear friends, every single day of overstay is going to cost you 2,000 Turkish lira, which is just below 50 euros. And if you just multiply by so many days, it can be a substantial amount of money. And the problem with that is the fact that you can't get it waived. As soon as you leave the country, you cannot answer back unless you pay the outstanding amount. I've seen many cases where people overstayed or they forgot to reapply, they forgot about the deadlines, and they ended up with thousands of euros fines. It's something that you would want to avoid at all costs. Another common mistake is trying to apply while you're outside of the country. That's not going to work. You have to be present in TRNC to be eligible to apply to obtain your residency permit over here. And as well as that, do not submit your application if your lease agreement for rental of your property has not started yet. That's another common mistake. Last but not least is losing your application reference number. Once you apply for the residency for the first time, you will have an account number being granted to you, okay? Please have it saved, and you will have the digital card being issued, and it all will be within one system with your login and passport details. So keep it stored safely, please, because that is your identity number basically once you're over here. And any other renewals of any other residencies will be based on that particular number. And preferably have your digital residency card being printed and present with you at all the times in case you're required to present it to the authorities. I've already mentioned in my video, but once you need to have your residency renewed because it's soon to be expired, you will have a window popping up within your application, right? That would be asking to renew your residency based on the same type of conditions or whether you apply the different ones. Again, you upload the documents, you submit the application, you have an appointment set up with the immigration office, you attend that appointment with original copies, undergo the medical check, pay for that check, and then have your residency granted once again. One more thing to mention, my dear friends, if you do not want to hassle with the application process yourself, you can always acquire the help of a professional, and that would roughly cost you anywhere from 200 euros to 300 euros per application. So, my dear friends, if you are thinking of moving to Northern Cyprus permanently and you would want to undergo the whole application process independently, you can DM me directly and I will send you free document checklist required for obtaining residency over here in 2025. Thank you so much for watching, my dear friends. I hope this video has been helpful to you. If you'd like me to shoot a video with any other topic related to Northern Cyprus, please feel free to comment below. And as well as that, do not forget to subscribe to get more useful tips and information about this beautiful island. See you in the next video.